Get 2 seconds because it's a new one. And thank you.
Okay. Yeah.
Saving up a little bit. Yeah.
Thank you. Geysers are typically found in volcanic areas that are along fault lines. There are cracks in the earth that help contribute to all of the conditions underground that make it possible for these geysers to form. There are 3 main ingredients that you need for a geyser field. Sorry. There are 3 main conditions. There. Wait. There. There are 3 main things that you need for geysers to form. You need underground heat from a... There's 3 main ingredients for geysers to form. You have to have an underground heat source, so magma, a chamber of magma, typically deep below the Earth's surface, but close enough to the surface that it can interact with the second element, that is groundwater. That's the typical groundwater that you would find if you were to dig for a well. When that water interacts with the hot rock that's been heated by that magma, it wants to expand and head up towards the surface. But of course, it has to go somehow through that crust, and it's the plumbing underneath, the porous rock, the reservoirs, the chambers, the channels of cracks and fissures in the Earth's crust that create the channel for that geyser to form. Without those 3 elements, you won't have geysers.
That was good. That was
Yes, right at the end.
Right in the end. That's perfect.
I should only have 1 sheet on my lap at a time anyway. Pause it for a second while I regroup here. So this next question is about microbes in the water and such like that. It seems almost impossible that anything could live in such harsh conditions, but there are. There are types of bacteria that we call extremophiles, and in this case, thermophiles. They love hot environments that we would find deadly. And these bacteria contribute to the colors that you see around a lot of these geysers. The Grand Prismatic Spring in Yellowstone is famous for having these beautiful hues of orange and yellow. Those aren't mineral deposits. Those are actual bacteria that are thriving in that extreme condition that would kill a human. These extremophile bacteria can be found in various places all over the world. Deep sea volcanic vents, these geysers and hot springs, even places like underground coal fires. It's hard to imagine that a living organism could survive, let alone thrive, in such harsh conditions. Studying these bacteria is really important. We can learn a lot from, Studying these extreme bacteria Studying these extremophile bacteria has a lot of benefits. We could learn things that could contribute to medicine and biotechnology, but also there are extreme conditions that exist on planets far away, within our solar system and even beyond. And the more we can learn about these bacteria that thrive in these extreme places, the more clues we learn about where we should look for life on other planets. It's almost like having alien life here on Earth. The environment inside these geysers is so alien to us. It doesn't sustain life as we know it, but there are bacteria the conditions inside these geysers can be so extreme and so alien that it's hard to imagine anything capable of living in there. But there they are, and they can give us clues as to where we might find life on other planets. The clues that we learn from these extreme bacteria that we discover in geysers around the world could give us all kinds of information about where we might want to look for life on other planets. That's what I was doing in the fire pit in Turkmenistan.
Really?
Yep. And we found a bunch of stuff living down there.
Only there, right?
Yeah. What is Yellowstone and where is it? Okay.
Set up.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yellowstone is one of America's great national parks, and it's also an active volcano. Yellowstone is huge. It's in, yeah. Where is it? Yeah. All right. Yellowstone National Park is in the northwest corner of Wyoming, and it actually also spills into neighboring Montana and Idaho. It's a volcano. Actually, it's a super volcano. It's one of the rare volcanoes on planet Earth that has the ability, if it were to erupt today, to wipe out life as we know it. Over the past 2 million years, there's been there's plenty of evidence to suggest that there's plenty of evidence at Yellowstone that tells us that it has erupted numerous times over the past 2 million years or so. It's still considered an active volcano, and the last eruption was about 650,000 years ago. Is Yellowstone going to erupt anytime soon? Well, likely not, but this is nature, so you just never know. Yellowstone has eruptions about every 650,000 years, and the last eruption was about 650,000 years ago.
Get your mouth.
One of the, yeah, it's okay. At first glance, you wouldn't really understand that Yellowstone is a volcano because it's so incredibly huge. The crater or caldera of the volcano itself is so big that you have to get into your car and drive for about an hour or two to get to the other side. It's so massive. Within that caldera, there's still plenty of magma deep underground, and that magma heats the groundwater and creates geysers. Lots of geysers. Yellowstone is home to over half of the world's geysers. Yeah. Yep, sorry, yeah, thank you. Aye, aye, Captain.
Sorry.
No, that's good, that's your job. Sit up. Yellowstone's not only known for its volcanic activity, it's known for its wildlife. There are deer, elk, bobcats, bison, and even introduced wolves that have been brought back to the park. It's an animal lover's dream. Try that one more time. Yellowstone is not only known for its volcanic activity, but for its wildlife. There are large populations of elk, bison, grizzly bears, wolves, you name it. What's so beautiful about Yellowstone? Wow. One thing that makes Yellowstone such a beautiful place is the sheer number and close proximity of all of the hot springs and geysers that it has. Sorry. One of the things that makes Yellowstone so beautiful to visit is the close proximity of all the geysers and, sorry. Throat is just raunched. One of the things that makes visiting Yellowstone National Park so beautiful is just the sheer number and close proximity of all of the geysers and hot springs. They're everywhere. It doesn't take much effort to go from one geyser or hot spring to the next. They're scattered throughout the park, and they're pretty close to each other. So it makes a great place to go and visit if you want to see that raw power of Mother Nature in a volcanic setting. There are so many geysers in, sorry. Here we go. This is the largest geysers in the world. Yeah. At least over 1,200. 465 that are active at any, over 400, yeah. Because of the volcanic activity at Yellowstone, it is home to the greatest number of geysers in the world. It has the biggest geysers, it has the most geysers. There are records of up to possibly 1,200 or more that have shit, sorry. Is that okay?
Yeah,
Like that? Yeah. Yellowstone is home to the most geysers in the world and some of the biggest ones on planet Earth as well. There's evidence of up to 1,200 having erupted there, and at any given time there are over 400 that are active that you can go and see at Yellowstone. Try that again. I'll just go with the numbers. Yellowstone has had up to 1,200 or more active geysers, and as of today, there are about 400 or so that are currently active. It's home to more geyser activity than anywhere else in the world. Are the geysers important to the rest of the Yellowstone ecosystem? Because Yellowstone is such a big national park and has so much wildlife, you're going to have interactions between the volcanic ecosystem and the animals and other wildlife that live there. Sometimes it doesn't work out well for the animals. There have been instances of bison and other animals killed by the volcanic gases that they inhale. There are instances of bison and other animals killed by the volcanic gases at Yellowstone. And every now and then, an animal could fall into one of these boiling hot springs, and that will not go well for them. However, there are some ways that the volcanic activity assists the ecosystem at Yellowstone. Those bacterial mats that we see around some of the geysers that create those beautiful colors, there are flies that will feed upon that bacteria. And then, of course, those flies move on and are eaten by frogs or birds, and then they become food further up the food chain. So the geysers of Yellowstone actually play a role in the bigger ecosystem of the national park. Old Faithful. Okay. Yeah. The most famous geyser in the world has to be Old Faithful. And it's the most famous geyser in the world has to be Old Faithful. There are over 180, it shoots 185 feet, yeah. Certainly the most well-known geyser in the world is Old Faithful in Yellowstone. People travel from all over the world to come and visit it. It erupts quite regularly, about every 90 minutes or so, and the park rangers will actually post signs stating when they expect the geyser to erupt next. When it has its big eruptions, it can shoot water 185 feet in the air, sometimes shooting up to 8,000 gallons of water at a time. It is absolutely incredible. It has erupted in history more than 1 million times that we know of. It's very reliable, hence the name, Old Faithful.
That was a good one.
Yeah, I thought that was all right.
Pausing?
No, we can keep going.
Okay.
Yeah.
No problem.
Geysers are formed by volcanic activity, but they don't last forever. There are ways that geysers can stop or die. Earthquakes certainly can disrupt the plumbing beneath the ground and destroy geysers. You can have instances of mineral deposits choking off some of the conduits where the hot water passes through. So there are naturally occurring events that can make geysers stop erupting. There's even been instances of human geothermal power, I'll just pick it up. There are even examples of human geothermal energy production that has stopped geysers from erupting. Geothermal energy plants can pull some of the energy and heat out of the ground, causing the ground... Try that one more time. There's even been instances of geothermal power plants causing geysers to basically die off. When you're pulling that hot water out of the ground for geothermal energy, number one, you can drop the water table. Let's try that without the stumbles. There's even been examples of geothermal power plants affecting geysers. These power plants pull some of the heat out of the ground, so the magma chamber doesn't have the effect that it used to have on the water table, and they can actually drop the level of the water underground as well. So it is possible for humans to kill off geysers. In Kamchatka, Russia, in Kamchatka, Russia, a number of years back, there was an incident in Kamchatka, Russia, where a whole series of geysers were smothered by an avalanche. Sorry, it wasn't an avalanche, it was a landslide. A number of years ago in Kamchatka, Russia, several geysers were buried underneath a landslide. So there are plenty of ways that geysers can basically go extinct. What creates the colors we see around Yellowstone? We talked about that, but I'll mention it again. Some people think that the vibrant colors One interesting thing about geysers is they sometimes have amazing colors around them. Some of those colors are caused by mineral deposits that are left behind by evaporating water, but some of them are caused by colonies of extremophile bacteria, living microscopic organisms that thrive in these incredibly hot conditions. It's hard to imagine looking at a geyser and seeing these bright colors around it and thinking that they're alive. Those are colonies of bacteria that for it's hard to imagine looking at a geyser and seeing these beautiful colors in the surrounding terrain and thinking that those are extremophile bacteria. These microscopic creatures are absolutely loving those hot, mineral-rich environments. If you were to stick your hand in it, you would instantly be scalded. But they're happy. They love it. It always blows me away how life finds a way. No matter where you go on planet Earth, from the hottest to the coldest to the driest conditions, you're gonna find some kind of microscopic life. It always seems to find a way. Is the whole system connected? Well, okay, so we're talking about how the system underground is connected in Yellowstone. Yeah. In order to fully understand how complicated the plumbing system is below a geyser field, you'd have to sort of, let me try that again. The plumbing system below a geyser field, the plumbing system in a geyser field in a place like Yellowstone is extremely complicated. There are fissures and cracks, porous rock, chambers of water, all heated from below. It's all interconnected, and sometimes conditions would change at one geyser and affect another geyser nearby. Certainly a big enough earthquake could completely disrupt all the geyser activity in Yellowstone overnight. Why do so many people travel to visit these geysers? Why do we love to watch them? Well, because they're cool. Wait, they're hot. Duh. I personally find geysers fascinating, and apparently millions of other people do as well. So many people travel to places like Iceland, to Yellowstone, to witness this raw power, to see these geysers shooting water high into the air. It's something you don't get to see in your day-to-day life. And to witness that firsthand is to see the forces of nature that are at work below our feet, producing something that is grand, spectacular, and a little dangerous. I think we all have a certain amount of fascination with the forces that are below our feet, how the earth works. We're curious about things like volcanoes, avalanches, geysers, and we want to witness these things. We want to bring our kids to go and witness them, to show them how complicated our world is and how amazing it is, and hopefully learn a bit about how our planet works. And of course, these geysers make for great photo opportunities. They're not just a force of nature, they can be absolutely beautiful. Almost done.
No problem.
Just a few more questions here. What geysers in the world have I been to? Well, Jesus, I've been to lots of them. In my travels around the world visiting volcanic areas, I've been to the geyser fields of the North Island of, New Zealand. I love visiting volcanoes around the world, and in my travels, I've been to many geyser fields. Sorry, my voice is about half an octave lower now since we started.
Let's see what the third section will be.
The third section, I'm just going to do sign language. Yeah. For years, I've traveled to volcanic areas around the world. It's one of my favorite things to do, and that includes geysers. I've witnessed them erupting in places like New Zealand. I've traveled to Iceland and seen Strokr geyser erupting right in front of me. And of course, spent a fair amount of time at Yellowstone. Yellowstone is one of the most beautiful places. You get up early in the morning and there's fog and mist and you can watch these geysers erupt before all the crowds arrive. It's one of the most peaceful and beautiful displays of nature's power. I love them. I really do. Any type of erupting feature on planet Earth, I love to watch. Whether it's hot water, whether it's lava. I've got lava running through my veins. I'm a total volcano junkie, and I will travel anywhere on Earth to witness them, and that includes hot springs and geysers. Absolutely. I think they're beautiful. Is there anything we don't know about them? Things that are mysterious? Yeah, sure, absolutely. There's a lot that we don't know about geysers. It's impossible to really get a good look at what's going on underground. It would be great if we could There's still a lot that we don't know about geysers. They're impossible to predict down with, let me try that again. Yeah. While a lot of geysers tend to erupt with tremendous regularity, you could almost set your watch by them, there's still a lot that we don't understand and know. For example, we don't have a really good idea in terms of, let's try to just pick that up. Some geysers erupt with such regularity that you could almost set your watch to them, but there's still a lot that we don't understand. Try that one more time. Sorry. Some geysers erupt with such regularity that you could almost set your watch to them, but there's still a lot that we don't understand. Seeing what's underground, seeing the plumbing, seeing the interaction between that hot rock and the water is something that you can't just cut the earth open and get a good look at. There's so much going on down there. The volcanic systems that create these geysers are complex, they're ever-changing. There are volcanologists that dedicate their lives to studying them, and there's still so much that we don't know. Right. Okay. Last one. Talking about impossible planet. It almost seems impossible that a jet of hot water could just come shooting out of a hole in the ground. But yet, it happens in hundreds of places along the Earth's surface. Sorry, let me try that one more time. It seems almost impossible, but it seems almost impossible that hot water and steam can just jet out of these holes in the ground, but it happens hundreds of times per day in various spots all over the world. It almost doesn't seem logical for geysers to exist. They seem to defy our notion of what the Earth is, but yet there they are, these blisters on the surface of Earth's... They seem to almost defy logic, these blisters on the surface of the Earth's crust that almost randomly shoot hot water and steam out of them. They're a real interesting force of nature that I personally find fascinating. Pause it.
Nothing.
Let me just double check.
Okay. So yeah, just kind of.
Okay, so we're doing close-ups here, talking about the chamber of magma beneath the surface and how a geyser has that hot water comes shooting up, sort of erupting out violently, and there's all kinds of, pardon me, just a little bit of hand movements. Pardon me again. And some of this. Looks like your card is almost full.
Good. Yeah. One of those. Yeah.
Eruptions, geysers shooting up, column of water. We've got all this stuff going on. We've got the chamber of magma. We've got water column erupting up. We've got, I don't know, geysers happening in different places around the world. Here and there and here and there.
That's good.
Perfect.
That's good. That's good for that.